tagging the basket. They were double teaming him, and he was making the right play. I don't know if he had a triple-double. Almost had 9 rebounds, but the way that he played tonight, the way that he led us, getting into the paint, making plays, finding me wide open, it was all about him.
All right, thank you, Drew. Going to Dallas up 2-0, how's that feel?
It feels great, but it's not over. Whatever it takes, as long as it takes.
We'll see you in Dallas. Mike.
All right, Lisa, that's now 9 straight victories for the Boston Celtics. And in the entire playoffs, they're now 14-2. And more importantly, 2-0 here in these NBA Finals. Mavericks lose back-to-back games for the first time in the playoffs. Our final score here in Game 2, Celtics 105, Dallas 98. Thanks to our outstanding crew, led by producer Tim Corrigan, director Mike Schwab. For Doris Burke, JJ Redick, and Lisa Salters, Mike Breen saying thanks so much for watching here on ABC, home of the NBA Finals right now. Let's join Malika and the studio team here at the TD Garden.
Mike, thank you. Jaylen Brown with 21 points here tonight, and this emphatic exclamation mark as the Boston Celtics take a 2-0 lead and the series shifts back to Dallas. Here alongside Bob Myers, Michael Wilbon, Josh Hart, I'm Malika Andrews. The Boston Celtics get a 105-98 win. And we were talking, Bob Myers, that usually in these close games, this is when we start to say, oh, we would favor Dallas in these. They have 2 of the best closers in the game. But all of a sudden, the Boston Celtics coming at you in waves. What made the difference here?
What you said, Malika, the team. It's Boston's team. Let me ask you guys a question. Malika, I'll start with you. Who's the MVP right now of the finals? I got my answer, but I'll go that.
I got my answer too.
All right now,
you just saw.
I'm going to go with Jaylen Brown.
Okay.
I'm going Jaylen Brown.
What about you?
Drew Holiday.
I'm going Brad Stevens.
Okay.
Okay. You think, I mean, half
no, I get it.
But the team.
Put a team together.
You put a team together. Drew Holiday might have been the best player in this game. The first game, it might have been Jaylen Brown, might have been Porzingis. That's the advantage that this Celtics team has. Would they play a B game tonight? B minus? It wasn't great. They shot, what, 10 of 38 from 3, 10 of 39. They won by 7. Never really in doubt. I think there was a moment there where you thought Boston might get close, or Dallas might get close, but it never got there.
Well, but that's why I've thought all season that the Jason Tatum narrative was overstated. Jason Tatum has to be the best player on the Celtics, and he has to be the MVP. No, he doesn't, because they've got an ensemble, and that's what put all those banners up there. Celtic team after Celtic team, and Brad Stevens knows that. Yeah. Not that he was trying to follow a formula or a pattern, because he wasn't, but he was doing that thing that makes the Boston Celtics who they've been, where you've got all these. And by the way, all those answers could be right about who the MVP so far of the finals is, and I can switch from Holiday.
They've never handed it to a front office member before,
I know.
But Bob's over here caping for it.
I'm representing my old craft.
If I'm Dallas, I'm kicking myself right now. This was the game they needed. Boston shooting 26% from 3. They out-rebounded them. This is the game they needed. This is a game Kyrie, they needed him to be aggressive, and they just didn't do it. And that's something that we talked about the whole time. They need Luka and they need Kyrie to be exceptional. And that's something that it's tough. It's tough when you're in a hostile environment like this to lean on those guys every single second.
Right, particularly because you're looking at a 30-point triple-double here for Luka Doncic. You're looking at the Boston Celtics shooting, Wilbon, less than 26% from 3.
The combination of those things would lead you to believe Dallas win this game, just hearing that. But Josh, I want to follow up even and ask about this. How important is it that the Celtics didn't give in, even when Luka was hot, to double team him or to blitz him or do the same thing to Kyrie? Other teams have had to do that defensively. The Celtics have not.
Yeah, it takes extreme discipline. And I think at the end of the day, their goal is to limit him as much as they can, but they're going to just force everyone else to beat them. And that's something that Joe Mazzulla and the Celtics, they don't believe Dallas has enough to beat them. And I think that's the biggest thing. You need guys coming out, being aggressive. Maxi Kleber going 0 for 4 at times, looking nervous to shoot. You need P.J. Washington to be aggressive. You need Derrick Jones Jr. to make those hustle plays. You need those guys, especially going against a team like this. I played against them. They're going to make other guys beat you, and that's something that Dallas hasn't done.
And Kyrie, he has to be that Robin to Doncic's Batman. And it's not just the fact that he went, he was 7 of 18.
He didn't get started till late.
He's having trouble getting separation, one. And two, he's having trouble getting by some pretty elite defenders. So I'm not knocking Kyrie. These are some of the best perimeter defenders.
Are the Celtics going to be able to be that physical in Dallas with Kyrie Irving?
They will.
They bounced him around like a pinball tonight. They did.
They need more movement on the offensive side. Everything is just so stagnant. Now you're having Kyrie and Luka going against 2 and 3 defenders. You need to have some type of movement, get them in space, and that's something that they're not doing, and it's tough to see.
So if you're Jason Kidd right now, Bob, what are you saying this group, knowing that the adage is a series doesn't start until a team wins on the road?
I think what he's saying, and Josh, you've been in these situations more in the locker room, but when I have seen in the locker room, thankfully we weren't down 2-0 that often, but I've heard coaches say, and I think is smart, this is what they're supposed to do. They protected home court.
Yeah.
Now let's go protect ours. So you don't overreact to it, and I think what you say if you're Jason Kidd is we were in this game, we were right there. We know we can play better than this. We showed up, we fought, we competed. Now let's go home, protect our home court. So you don't overreact. We overreact. They don't overreact.
But we're overreacting to this one, God, Malika gets on me about how much I hate stats. But
It does.
teams that have taken in the NBA Finals a 2-0 lead are 31-5. Yeah. That's not something in zero, but it's something to pay attention to probably.
I'm wondering, Malik, what I didn't answer, and I'll ask Josh, is what strategically, if Jason Kidd comes to you and says, hey, Josh, tomorrow at shoot around in practice, say, what are you seeing out there? What would you say?
I'm having P.J. Washington and Derrick Jones Jr. initiate offense. I'm getting Luka and Kyrie off the ball, getting them in position where they don't have to work so much. And I think that's something that they're not really doing. All the shots, you talked about it earlier in pregame, the shots that they're making or the shots that they're shooting, it's just so tough. Right? And then they're not getting anything on the offensive glass. So I'm looking at the offensive and saying, how can I get these guys off the ball in the flow of it and get them getting downhill?
Yeah, and when you're in a series like this, what also happens is it is a chess match. It's best of 7. The more you can take a team out of what they're used to doing, and so he's saying P.J. Washington, Derrick Jones. Now this is a team used to having Kyrie and Doncic handle. So and also, look, we all watched Indiana score a lot of points on this very good Celtics team. Even without Halliburton,
but
Indiana could score. I understand, right, exactly. But that's what they did all year. So we could sit here and say Dallas needs to push off misses. That's not what they do.
And Luka's going to have the ball, and he's not going to have a better first half than he had tonight. Unlikely.
That's right. I just know you cannot let an elite defense like this set up every time. Look, on makes, it's hard to push. But on misses, Luka's he slowly gets it out. That's his style. That's his pace. But now you're staring at one of the best defenses in the league set up in the half court.
I thought when they cut the lead, and by the way, Drew Holiday makes a great play. It could have been a 2-point game. But when they cut the lead, Kyrie had the ball more in his hand. Kyrie got to the basket a couple of times. Yes, he didn't beat anybody early, but he did late, Bob. And I thought he gave them a little bit of a spark, not to mention get himself going. No, the jump shot was not falling, but he got to the basket a couple of times, and he broke down the defense a couple of times, and they got this thing back to what, 5?
Yeah.
5-point game.
Well, and those are the games that usually we have said, okay, this is when Dallas is going to take over. This is when Dallas is going to take over, because historically when they're in those tight games, they are the team that prevails because they have 2 of the best 2 closers in the game. But when Boston has 6 of the best players on the floor, at times 5 on any given point, it becomes really difficult. Is
that a push in the back or no?
I know this is a big big block from Derek White, who will be joining us right after the break. Luka Doncic, what an incredible 3 here. balancing on one foot just for good measure, but the Boston Celtics prevail 105-98. By the way, a 32-point triple-double. He's the first Mavs player with a triple-double in the NBA Finals ever. 32, 11, and 11, 4 steals to boot. It's hard to believe he was questionable coming into this one, Mr. Wilbon.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like, wow, can he even finish the first quarter? I mean, pregame, he's got that right arm around his ribs in this midsection, and I thought that was Dirk for a second. That sort of threw me off. He's got the right hand around his ribs, and you're thinking, is Luka going to be able to do this? Right. He's not even out there for the full warm-up session. And you just go, wow, I mean, what can they do? And Luka is the only one that has the kind of game that helped get the Dallas Mavericks this far.
Well, part of the reason for that is because Derek White primarily guarded Kyrie Irving tonight and did an excellent job. He is joining us now here on set, making his way across the stage. Hey, Derek, thank you so much for taking the time.
How you guys
I really
doing?
appreciate it. We'll get you settled over here. Even got a little footrest for you. But we got to start. We just watched a couple of minutes ago that block you had on P.J. Washington as this game in the winding seconds. I want to take another look at it if we could hear, and you could just walk us through what was going on there.
Yeah, it was hectic. I mean, just sprinting back, trying to make a play. Me and JB were arguing about who actually got the block or not, so just sprinting back, trying to make a play.
I'm going to say the replay here says it was you.
Yeah, it looks like
we'll give it to you. He's here.
Oh, that's me for sure.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, yeah. What was so successful? I mean, let's face it. Kyrie Irving has been great in the playoffs. He's been great the whole second half of the season plus, and he hasn't been great yet. And I know there's time, but what's been successful against him so far?
I mean, he's a hell of a player. We know it's gonna be even tougher back at Dallas, and we just got to continue to make it difficult for him. I mean, he's gonna make tough shots and just continue to try to force him to take those tough shots. And I mean, Drew, the whole team's really been on him, so just got to have that heightened awareness of where he's at and try to make it difficult as possible.
In this series so far, Derek, I'm seeing, I don't know these, what they would say, but your defense is showing up in a different way it did against Indiana. And I think, do you trace that to what Indiana was doing as far as tempo? Because I felt like you guys were on your heels a little bit in that series. Now, you swept them, so it didn't give you that much trouble. But they put you in some tougher positions. Does this slower tempo favor you guys defensively?
I mean, Josh can tell you Indiana's hard to guard.
Okay, I didn't know. I'm not out there. I don't know. Move on. Do you know?
Man,
on TV, they look pretty good. Yeah.
Unreal.
Okay.
Credit to them. They're just difficult to guard, but it's just different styles, obviously. I mean, this one we knew it was going to be a little slower, obviously, and we just got to take on that challenge, that individual defense that we take pride in. And I mean, they got great players, and we're just trying to do multiple efforts.
For you, what goes through your mind when that started that fourth quarter? Is because watching you play for 7 years now, I feel like in the fourth quarter you always get better. You make those big plays. You make the game-winning block. You get a steal on a almost 8-second call, and you guys get a bucket after Dallas had a big stop. What goes through your mind in that fourth quarter that allows you to make these plays?
Just breathe first. I think that's probably when I've learned from my career is I just get too wound up, and so just try to stay calm, breathe, and whatever the game needs me to do, I got to do it. And so that's my mindset, and it's different each game, it's different each series, and so just whatever the game tells me I need to do, I got to do it.
Now the series shifts back to Dallas. You all are up 2-0. How do you take all of this on the road? And as you know, us folks on television have the conversations about how deep you are, how poised this team is, how good you all look, guard against letting your guard down.
Yeah, we know they're a great team. We are far away from the goal, and so we can't relax. We can't be satisfied, and we got a lot more work to do. And each game's just going to get more and more difficult. So we just got to continue to execute and just compete at that high level.
Derek, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us here on set. We'll let you go. We're back with your team. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah,
Thanks, Derek. Appreciate it.
I don't want to jinx Derek at all, but taking a look at teams that go up 2-0 in the NBA Finals.
Good number, Derek.
It's a pretty good number.
It's a good number for you.
86% chance to win the series.
31-5.
I've been on the bad end of some of those numbers, though, guys. 3-1, you're supposed to win in the finals, Wilbon, too. We had good odds.
Well, it's been Jaylen Brown who's been sort of imploring the team, right? It's just one game at a time. The job is not finished. That is Derek White's sentiment as this Boston team hits the road to Dallas, up 2-9. We'll be right back. Ooh, a little behind the pack. Drop pass off to Derek Jones Jr. Luka Doncic had a triple-double. It wasn't quite enough. Boston heads back to Dallas, up 2-0. So when a series shifts back away from your home floor, we talked a little bit to Derek about what changes for them and their attitude, their disposition as they take this show on the road. What is that actually changes?
A lot actually. Dallas is going in home where they play very well. They shoot the ball very well. They have a great home crowd. So you got to know that coming in. You got to know they're going to come out with energy. And as a road team, you got to set the tone from the jump. And that's something, obviously, the Celtics have the ability to do. But Dallas, it's tough doing that in Dallas.
Yeah, I think traditionally role players are better at home. I mean, you're going to get more, you would think, out of some of the guys. I don't know if it's Jaden Hardy. I don't know if they go to Wilbon's guy Hardaway or you know, I think Kleber has to show up in this series. I mean, maybe he gets going at home. Maybe he's more comfortable there, Malik. But a lot of times you see the stars are going to do what the stars do. They can do it on the road. They can do it at home. Maybe it gets Kyrie going in some respects because they got to get somebody going. The bad part about Dallas is this Boston team sometimes plays better outside of Boston.
Yeah.
So that's not a good look.
That has been their trend in the postseason over the last 4 seasons, better on the road. But, Josh, you see them. You're in a division with the Celtics. You've seen them up close and personal now. Does any of this surprise you? Are you seeing what you think is the best of the Celtics yet?
Does it surprise me? No. I think this game was huge for them, just with going in there, at home, getting out-rebounded, shooting 26% from 3. You didn't play your best basketball, and you still were able to come out and win. And I think that's a big thing for them. I think that's a big thing for their confidence going forward. Even towards the end of the game, when it started getting close, they were able to, make big plays and stretch the lead a little bit. So it's tough, but I think they have another level. But this gives them a lot of confidence going into Dallas.
You think the Celtics have another level that we haven't even seen yet?
I think so. I mean, game 1, they were amazing. And there was a drop-off here. And if this was the drop-off we talked about, they're in pretty really good shape.
They're in a pretty good
But at the same point, Dallas it wasn't a great game by Dallas.
No.
I mean, they probably played as, if you want to say the Celtics won and didn't play well, Dallas, they won an A game. We haven't seen Dallas's A game yet. I don't think we've seen a B-plus game. Oh, that's right. We saw an A game with the Celtics in game 1, I thought. The way they shot the ball, the way they played defensively. But Dallas is better than we've seen. Now, the question is that because what Boston's doing to them? Is this a style makes fights where it's just, if you're going to slow the ball down, again, you heard Derek White say it, Indiana's hard to guard. You know why? 0.5 basketball. Touch it and go. Make a decision.
And if you don't have to ever double or blitz or trap or do anything that allows Luka and Kyrie to find wide open people. Now, Luka did that sometimes, but passes in traffic and really difficult passes that help move that assist total up. They still, to me, did not move the ball on their own that well.
Well, I'll tell you what. You want to use Indiana. I keep bringing up Indiana because we just saw them. They scored a lot of points on the very good team. So I remember when the Warriors days playing James Harden, who had that kind of like run everything through him hub of the offense. And Josh, I'd be curious to see when you're seeing the same thing every time down. Luka Doncic in the pick and roll. Luka Doncic. It's so much easier, and it gets. But by the way, it gets easier as the series goes along, and as it gets longer and longer, it's like a hitter seeing the same pitch. Yep. After a while, it's like I can see this clearly.
So then what becomes the adjustment?
He's saying
that Dallas has
some
to
other
make?
guys have to handle.
Other guys have to initiate, but I love playing fast. Playing fast against this Boston team, especially when they have Porzingis and Horford in at the same time, you have to run them. You have to create advantages. And if you're doing that, they have in Boston hasn't been doing that for the whole playoff. So you don't know. Some of those guys might get tired. Other guys might have to step up. But for them to get easy shots, especially when Luka is out the game, they have to play fast.
Yeah, right. And they did it, I think, in the Minnesota. They had it. It was either Minnesota or Oklahoma City where Dallas was saying, we got to push. We got to push. I saw them doing it. Now it's not their nature. No. It may have to be their nature.
It better be their nature in Game 3.
Because I don't know what the numbers say on Game 3, but they're really bad.
The other thing is they're going to have to get a performance. I mean, old-fashioned performance, offensive performance that he's capable, as we know, from Kyrie Irving.
Well, right now,
and that's so much of what we talked about coming into this series. Luka and Kyrie. So far, it has not been Kyrie.
Right now, both coaches addressing their teams in the locker room. Let's take a listen to Joe Mazzulla.
Hey, it's a great job. As we said before, throughout the game, they were going to bring the best out of us, bring the best out of us. The best thing we did was the emotional, mental, and physical toughness to just keep making plays. Everyone made great plays, but maybe the play more than anything else is that shot right there. And the humility and the toughness to go in and take that shot with 3 seconds, that's the difference between winning and losing. So thank you for taking that shot. The closer you get to thinking about your goal, the easier it is to relax. All right? They brought the best out of us tonight. We keep that up, man. We got to be hungry. We got to be hungry. All right? Together. 1, 2, 3. Together.
Did we give ourselves a real chance to win? Yes. Okay, cool. Now we're going to build on it, all right? There's going to be turnovers. There are going to be missed assignments, right? We've got to support each other.
So Luka Doncic really struggled in the fourth quarter here. He's been struggling late in the fourth quarter of this series. If you take a look, 2 of 10 there from the field. Obviously, he came into this one questionable with the chest contusion. He's had the ankle issue. He's had the knee issue. When you're looking at him move around out there, though, Josh, it feels like he starts the game okay, and you think, all right, maybe that's going to be able to be put by the wayside. Does he just run out of gas toward the end? What are you seeing there?
Yeah, I think he might run out of, gas. He has to do so much offensively, and that's where getting the ball out of his hands and having other guys initiate it. Even the simple fact of him not having to bring the ball up, going against Derek White or Jaylen Brown that's picking him up 94 feet, all of that takes a toll on your body. And when you're already banged up, you got to find ways to get off the ball, to get a breather, and be able to execute. And that's something that, I think he's kind of running on E a little bit.
Well, what would he know about this? He's tired. He played. He should be in minutes.
Tired is not in
I was getting tired watching Josh play 48 minutes a night. I was tired.
Yeah, but the thing for me is I know I can play 48 because I'm able to find my spots to rest. We have JB, and that's our guy. So when JB has the ball, if I'm in the corner, sometimes after some of these tough possessions, I'm over there not even looking for the ball, and I'm just resting. They got to find ways to get him not working so hard, and that's something that we try to do for Jaylen. Especially during that Indiana Pacers series, guys are picking him up 94. He's banged up. You got to get him off the ball and get him, not so much toll on his body.
And they're attacking him on defense, too, every time. They're putting him in pick and rolls.
Well, Derek White had 8 points in the fourth quarter. That was more than Luka and Kyrie combined. They had 7. Joe Mazzulla's at the podium right now talking about why it is that he doesn't quite like us all just talking about one player on his team. Take a listen.
We didn't do that. We didn't do it.
Not here.
We talked a lot. A lot of guys.
That's the first and foremost. That should have been the first question, is the ability of our everybody on our team to do different things that lead to winning. So I'm really tired of hearing about one guy or this guy or that guy and everybody trying to make it out to be anything other than Celtic basketball. And everybody that stepped on that court tonight made winning plays on both ends of the floor. That's the most important thing.
I think we've used the term ensemble quite a few times.
The point is well taken.
I made it about one guy, the guy that put the guys on the floor.
Bob returns, but listen, his point is well taken because most of the conversation all year, and you know how annoyed I've been at it. I don't believe in the narrative that Jason Tatum has to be the best player on the Celtics for them to win. Win. And then if we start dealing with MVP, my God, I don't remember that being a conversation, Bob, until we got to the Steph Curry hasn't won the MVP. So what? He got 4 rings, 3 of them before he was the MVP. So I understand why Mazzulla is annoyed,
perturbed
with that theme. Absolutely.
But here's the thing: whatever we say in the next minute, it ain't. You can't stop that train. That train's left the station. People are going to
Maybe
talk
this
about.
reverses it.
I don't think so.
You don't think 2 or 3 of these performances
no,
do?
No, it's. We highlight guys. Brunston versus Halliburton. What do you think's going on, Wilbon?
Yeah.
Well, and also they built a team after 2022 and your Golden State Warriors defeated this Boston Celtics team. They looked around. Your finals MVP, Brad Stevens, looked around and said, how can we build an ensemble so that we come at you in waves and it's not just one guy, one guy, one guy. This team is literally built so that it is not just Jason Tatum, so that it is not just Jaylen Brown, so that on any given night, Josh, it can be 2 of these guys that are going to come and kill you.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful aspect about it. A day where Jason Tatum goes 2 for 26, you have Drew Holiday, a proven champion, going out there shooting 11 for 14 with 26 points and 11 rebounds. So it's not one person.
That's going to do it for us here from Boston. We head back to Dallas. Josh, thank you so much for joining us here. Your local news coming up on most ABC stations.